Very warm greetings to the learners. This is Dr. Meenakshi. As you remember in the previous video, we started discussing about P-chart for variable sample size. And in that context, we learned how to prepare a P-chart when we have a variable sample size. And there you remember I have said that there are two approaches used for constructing variable control limits for the P-chart. So in that scenario, we just simply try to learn how to prepare a P-chart. Now in this video, we will explore with the help of the data that I have taken. You can see in the screen for the sample of 20, total sample of 20. And with the help of this data, we'll learn to apply those two approaches. We'll learn how these two approaches differ. What is the basic difference? Okay. Now this specific problem is based actually on, it is basically a problem in which the production of the laptops of a company have given this output of inspected data, and the number of defective laptops found every day is summarized in the form of the table data given here. Now we have to draw an appropriate control chart and comment on the state of the process. Now since the number of defective is given here and the sample size is varying, as you can see on the screen, we will actually prepare the P-chart for variable sample size, and we shall solve this problem using both the approaches. The first approach, you remember, is basically when the control limits of the P-chart are calculated for each sample, right? For each sample, that means what we'll do, we'll first of all find out the fraction defective, or you can say the proportion of defective laptops. Here in this problem it is proportion of defectives, right? I will not write down laptops, I'll just write down small p, which is equal to, what was the formula? Small d divided by small n. Now what is the small d? It is basically the number of defectives, and small n is the number of laptops inspected. So using this formula here, we just have to select d divided by n, right? So this gives the value of your proportion of defectives, and this is for the rest of the sample. Now we have to find out the value of upper control limit here. Before that we have to find out the value of your center line. What else we call the center line? We call the center line as P bar, and then we have to find out the value of upper control limit and lower control limit. So for center line, what will be the formula? As you remember, it is basically the average of your proportion of defectives. So simply what we'll do, we'll select this value of proportion defectives. This is the beauty of Excel. We just have to remember the formula. We know how to use the functions, and simply it actually lessens all of your calculation, all your work. You just have to put a click and you get rest of the values in front of you. And to make the uniformity for rest of the sample, we just put a $sign here, and here comes the value for center line for rest of the sample given here. Okay. Now we have to find out the value of upper control limit. You remember the formula of upper control limit for this control chart? That is equal to your P bar, that is your central line, plus 3 times 3 into square root of P bar into 1 minus P bar divided by the first of your sample value n1, if you would like to call it as n1. How many n we have? We have 20 here, n 20 values, and total sample k is 20. So with the help of this formula, we'll be able to find out your upper control limit. So this is your upper control limit, and for the rest of the sample, these are the values. For lower control limit, we remember what was the formula? Again, P bar minus 3 times square root of, we just have to write down SQRT, we'll get the square root, P bar into 1 minus P bar again divided by N1, that is 650 here, and this formula is different from UCL. How? Because here we have the difference of the two. Okay, so this way we got the value of lower control limit and we found it this way. Okay, now selecting these four values and going to insert line graph. Here comes your chart, P chart value with variable sample. Okay, so just remove the grid lines, make a bit of adjustments so that you can see clearly. So this is your control chart with the central line, this one in red color. This purple line represents the lower control limit. It is fluctuating. Why? Because there is a variation in your sample size. We have variable sample size, that's why there is a fluctuation in your upper and lower control limits. So this was the first approach, in which basically what we did, we calculated your control limits for each sample here, right? Now what we'll do for the second approach, let's see. As you know, in the second approach, the control limits are calculated using the average sample size, and we get the constant control limits just as we get in case of a constant sample size. Now how we are going to do it? First of all, I am going to minimize this line graph a bit, and I'll place it down somewhere here so that we can pursue the calculations. I'll just drag it here. I'll put it here somewhere. Okay, fine. Okay, so in the first approach, you remember we calculated for every sample point, right? N1, N2, N3. Now in this approach here, what I am going to do, we are going to talk about something that is called N bar, right? Now this N bar value will be equal to basically your sum of all the N values, right? If I'll say, before putting that, I better write it down here. I mentioned in the beginning also our K value is here 20, the total sample. To calculate this N bar value, basically first of all it will be the first we have to find out the sum of all the N values, right? So what we'll do, I'll just go to the formulas, I'll just do auto sum and I'll get this value. So this value is basically your sum of all the N values, right? So your N bar will be equal to this sum of all N divided by the K value, right? So basically the N bar value here is 622.5. Now why I calculated this N bar value, let's find out why I did that. You remember while calculating this upper control limit, lower control limit, we use certain formula. As you can see on the screen, in this formula what was happening, we were writing down here B2, and you remember I have not put a dollar sign anywhere here. Why? Because the value of N was changing, right? It was a variable sample size. So here something is going to happen with this B2 value, right? Okay, so for that purpose our central line will be the same. I'll be writing down here another value for your upper control limit and lower control limit by using the second approach, in which basically the control limits are calculated using the average sample size. Okay, so you remember what was the formula for upper control limit? It was P bar plus 3 into square root of your P bar again into 1 minus P bar divided by, now here we will use this N bar value, that is the average of the samples here, right? Okay, so we found the value of N bar here. This is 0.164. okay, you will say what is the difference, it's almost the same. I'll just put down a dollar sign here because we're not changing any values here. We don't have any variability in the values, just to get wait for rest of the sample. I think I have covered, right? Okay, so just have to drag it till this point. Okay. Now lower control limit, the formula is p bar minus 3 into square root of p bar 1 minus, it's not selected, 1 minus p bar, and again despite selecting this n1 value, what we'll do, we'll select the n bar value, that is the average of your sample points, and we'll get, so this way we got the value of your lower control limit. Oh, just selected something else here. Okay, so this is your LCL value, and just to make it uniform, what we are going to do, we are going to put a $sign here because there is no variation now as it was in the previous formula for lower control limit. Okay, I think I had covered, and let's see what will happen now. Okay, I have to prepare the line graph, select these two, control these two values from here, and go to insert, select the line graph, and here comes your line chart. Remove the grid lines, and before doing anything else with this graph, I'll just drag it down here. See, now you can understand the difference between the two approaches. I'll just expand it a bit. So you can see the difference. There is no difference in out of control points. See, here also we have 0.6 or 0.8, we have 0.18. Here also you can see we have 0.6, 0.8 and 0.18, right? So what is the difference? Here the lower control limit and the upper control limit values are in variable form. They are not constants. Here you can see there is a straight line for upper control limit and lower control limit. And how did that happen? By putting an average of the sample size. So this is the difference between the two approaches, with the help of which we basically try to understand how to prepare a p-chart for variable sample size. So the two approaches, first approach in which the control limit of the p-chart are calculated for each sample, and in the second approach where basically the control limits are calculated using the average sample size. So I hope with the help of this example and with the help of these two line graphs, there is a lot of clarity created now between the two approaches. If still there is any doubt and you feel that you need to understand something more, you can just write your query in the comment section, and you have to subscribe my channel so that you can in continuity share all the learning experiences that we are exploring here in this journey of learning. Okay, I think the concept for this p-chart for variable sample size is clear. In the next video, we are going to talk about how to prepare a revised p-chart. So far, thank you so much and have a great learning time.